Hello and welcome back to Musician vs. Musician, a podcast/gig where every week we talk about music in some form or another. The most recent iteration of the podcast features Leia and I doing a sort of comparison of bands that we've nominated to go up against each other to decide which one of us is the musician and which one of us is the musician.
See how much better it is when you don't make me do it?
It was almost good. There's some bits in there which are utter crap that will be really
It is
difficult.
every time, but yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty good prototype. Just stop touching stuff.
I'm not trying it.
Behind that wall that we podcast
the black
between.
Wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, the black wall with only a USB cable for me to plug the mic in.
Yeah, I don't know what you're doing in there, like a
you
cat
can just hear
batting
noise.
string.
Yeah.
Last week we had the guys from Supersonic Death Monkey on here. How was that for you?
I still love that name though.
It's a good name.
It was actually, a lot of the time we don't know what to expect when we interview bands. They were actually really nice.
Yeah,
They were chatty and it was fun. I really enjoyed that interview. That was definitely one of the best we've done.
Well, out of the two we've done.
Yeah, but I mean, even when we go to gigs and chat to bands, I think they're really easy to chat to.
We've got a couple of interviews coming up within this year. There's
within our timeline, so that could be whenever really, but
it's definitely in the year, so look forward to that whenever we decide to do it. It could be that we just never release this episode and we just do those interviews instead. That could very easily happen.
Who knows?
It won't. We'll try not to do that.
I don't think we've ever recorded anything that was just not used just because time.
Almost.
Did we?
So the Rammstein episode, one of the mics didn't record.
Are you serious?
Nope. So the sound is awful. I've gone through and tried to fix it as best I can, but there's only my mic didn't record.
Oh, okay.
So it's just your mic. Thankfully, it's omnidirectional, so at least we got a bit more of me.
But it's just me. That one's just me.
But thankfully, you did lead that podcast.
Yeah, I suppose that is the one time that it would have been more okay for it to be me and not you.
Yeah, and we've got a third mic now. We're not using it right now.
I mean, I did just tip it over, but there we go.
Yeah. Well, it's been in a box for a month, and then actually a year, and then I just decided to try and fix it, and fixed it within about 5 minutes.
So what we know was a year ago you were lazy.
Yes.
There we go then.
I've built computers since then, so I'm a hardware genius now.
Yeah.
Or at least not afraid of
Googling
how to do things.
Yeah. That's all of what engineering is not being afraid to Google everything.
I feel like that's all that most degrees are, to be honest with you.
That I will flat out say that is basically my degree, so I don't care.
I'm doing research for a song at the moment, which has some bases in philosophy and media theory. And
just Google it.
Exactly. I just Google Scholar. I was like, right, I've got some homework to do. I can research this.
Did you know, on a related note, that companies like Google don't like you saying to Google something?
I didn't know that Google didn't like it.
So loads of companies don't like it because then you lose the meaning of the brand. So you start talking as it like a jacuzzi. Like jacuzzi's a brand, but you just think of it as hot tubs. So you just go, I'm going to buy a jacuzzi, but it's not.
I do make a conscious effort to say hot tub.
Do you?
Yeah.
See, I thought that was just Americanism, but no, it's a brand thing.
Yeah, same with Hoover.
Yeah, same with Hoover.
It's a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, and that also sounds American, but technically the Americans are right here, and I'll concede that, so there we go.
Vacuum cleaner is correct. It's what I try and say. Although at work they have a Henry Hoover.
Do they?
So
I kind of like it. Yeah, Henry Hoover's fine.
It is garbage. Don't buy Hoover products, everyone. They haven't evolved since they were invented.
Yeah.
This is me throwing shade at our arch nemesis.
Henry Hoover, our arch nemesis, Henry Hoover.
Amazon Music's old news. Now it's Hoover that we're taking down. This is the punk podcast.
We didn't even start on topic this time.
Do we ever start on topic?
I don't know, sometimes. When we've got guests, maybe.
Well, you know what? Let's use that as a segue into getting on topic. Because this week we're going to compare two bands who we believe are metalcore bands.
Broadly.
We sort of wanted to compare the tip-top of metalcore at the moment versus the inspiration behind metalcore.
Yeah.
Which the tip-top being, in my humble opinion, and what I'm going to try and convince Leia of, Architects, who are a band. A British band.
Are they British? I got into my head they were American.
No, you know what? They're very, very British. And actually, if you listen to their brand of metalcore versus the American iterations of metalcore, it becomes very, very obvious.
I think, this is going to be probably one of those big episodes where you are much more familiar with the genre as a whole than I am, because generally when we're talking about the music things, it tends to be more classic, which is a lot more my field. But yeah, I'm quite in the deep end this time.
What's your opinion of metalcore in general? And let's both be brutal.
To be brutally honest, not for me generally. Yeah. Like, the band I've picked is... Because we like to go into this with a real genuine opinion. Mm-hmm. So I've tried to pick a band that I genuinely do like, and I do think they should win. Which is why I've ended up with a band that has been described to inspire metalcore more than a specifically metalcore band. Yeah. So it's a bit more like roots then, if you prefer. But I think it's the vocal style that gets me a lot of the time, and it just doesn't go for me. I think that's
fair enough, though.
It's just not for me.
There is a very specific metalcore scream, an epiglottic scream, which sounds exhausting. So I find this with regular metal as well. Too much of a good thing becomes boring to me. So that's why I don't love bands like Lamb of God.
I see that. It's pretty solid and consistent.
The vocal style is, all the way through. Whereas give me a Bring Me the Horizon, give me an Ed Shikari, who jump in between vocals, even Slipknot, who they go in between those pop choruses with the screaming style. That's just my thing. However, Architects, who I mentioned are a British band. I'm saying it a lot because I think it's important when we actually have a band that's famous and big.
We don't just go, everyone's American.
Yeah.
Who
the singer, do you know who the singer is?
Oh, I've got no idea.
Sam Carter.
Okay. Sam Carter, I do actually recognise that name now that you've said it, actually.
He's the very famous Architect singer. He's got a very distinctive voice, and I believe it is him who contributes massively to them being tip-top of the genre. Now, we have been in the local scene for a little while, you more than me. How many metalcore bands do you think you've heard?
Oh, many. The problem is, I think metalcore is a lot more accessible because people think it sounds rougher, so you can get away with things, but that's not true. Also, metalcore is like in a local level with that kind of sound tech and equipment. It just does not sound spectacular a lot of the time, and it's not really a description of the band, which is frustrating.
But I also think that metalcore tends to have guitars which have quite like a... You know how we go by colour sometimes? Yeah. I always think of metalcore as light. It's like a white or a light blue. It cuts through sound quite nicely. You can hear it very distinctly. All metalcore has that same kind of sound, which has come from bands like Bring Me the Horizon, Architects, and, of course, Leia's
My
Choice.
band, which we haven't talked about yet, Killswitch Engage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, particularly on a local scene, you get this massive wall of noise going on, which is even more prominent in metalcore and things like that. But also, I think what sort of doesn't do so well for me is that you're quite openly like the really emotive root of music generally, and I think it strikes it because I also obviously I do. It's just that I take it from a completely different world. Like I don't like the overtly emotional things generally. It takes me a while to warm up to.
I'm a self-proclaimed emo. Always will be. It's what hits my soul. So and I agree with you. I think metalcore a lot of the time hits that. That being said, I'm also not a huge fan of this genre. I think that a lot of it is very, very samey.
It's a bit hit or miss.
Especially on the local level.
Yeah.
Now, I listened to Architect. We actually have delayed this episode significantly.
Yeah.
And it's given me a lot of time to listen to Architects and a lot of time to kind of appreciate them a bit more and notice things that I never really noticed before. And I've been talking to people in the know about this stuff, how they record, how they write, and they have some really distinctive identities which when you hear people in the local scene, it's very clear how much they're copying them. So my big pitch, and I'm doing Legacy a bit early, but I think it's important to note that as a band, Architects have created this legacy which people are trying to emulate now.
Yeah, I'll agree with that off the bat. Totally. With just the amount of traction that they get is a completely valid statement. But yeah.
But Killswitch Engage are not a small band either.
Killswitch Engage, I would argue, are bigger than Architects.
I would agree with you.
Yeah. Like, I'm not too familiar with Architects, but I know Killswitch Engage are insanely big. And it's one of those...
What? Whilst you're talking, I'll check some numbers now.
Yeah, like it's one of those things that like they're one of those bands that I just didn't understand until I saw them. But when I saw them, I hadn't really consciously heard them, because the one song I had heard, which is one that's on Guitar Hero, which we are going to talk about later, which is the only song that I'd heard by them, and I hadn't even correlated it to the band. And I saw them in Download 2016, and I had no idea who they were. Really, like I'd heard them a little bit, or it might even have been 2015. God.
Okay, you want some numbers for a second?
Yeah.
The top most listened to song of Killswitch Engage has 10 million more than the top of Architects.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
No, I mean, they're a band that's been around for longer.
They're a band, yeah, and obviously it's I think it's bizarrely slightly more accessible in metal terms, I'd say, Killswitch are. Because I think metalcore is quite a specific one, as much as it's only recently gaining traction, and in the last couple of years it's really, really getting off the ground, isn't it? But there we go. Yeah, I think we're surprisingly well matched this time round, actually.
I wanna go straight into it and start this off. What do we start off with? It's been so long since we've done this format.
Normally we do a little bit of background of the band first. Have you got a little background for Architects?
Yeah, I mean...
do you need me to go first? Well, I mean members and, any notable album releases. And...
Okay, well their biggest one was their most recent one, but they did, oh crap, I can't remember the name of it. It was called... You go whilst I look it up.
Yeah. So, Killswitch Engage, obviously, now you found it.
No, just
right?
go.
So, they actually formed in 1999, so I'd imagine quite a little bit before Architects. They sound pretty recent. They actually have the same lineup now as they did when they started. I didn't know this, but they did have a change, and they changed back, all on completely good terms, which is rare in band world. Their last album was 2016. They've been described as one of the founders of metalcore, and that most of the albums have been described as pure metal album that ignores fashion, which then goes on to inspire metalcore in the sort of meaty heavy metal glory days style, which is fun. They also have 5 awards so far, so they're doing well. But that's about the gist of it, to be honest. They're pretty sick.
Well, you didn't form that much sooner than my band.
Not really?
2002.
Really? Okay, it was a smaller gap than I thought then.
Well, they had a different singer for about 4 years, maybe 5 years.
Then
they got Sam Carter in, who
is the notable one.
Yes.
Yeah.
The band members are all... Well, I'll let you decide if they're good or not. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, fair.
But they came onto my radar in 2015 for the first time.
Yeah.
With All Our Gods Have Abandoned Us. And then Holy Hell, which is the most recent album, was, I think, their biggest release. It's interesting to me because I listened to it. That's actually the first one I really listened to.
Yeah.
And I was immediately like, isn't this just like a without melody version of Sempiternal by Broom? And I was like scratching my head, like, why does it sound exactly like it, or like it's reminiscent enough that it was. Well, here's the thing: Jordan Fish of Bring Me the Horizon, who came on board with Sempiternal, he produced this. He produced Holy Hell, so that was to me. It was like, oh, okay,
that makes sense. Yeah,
and that's actually not the first time they met. Architects have supported Bring Me the Horizon for years.
Yeah,
back before they were. I guess they're big. They're much bigger in the metal scene now than Bring Me the Horizon ever were. I think that's indisputable.
Yeah, 100%. I think the difference is Bring Me the Horizon aren't really accepted by the metal community.
Never have been.
Whereas metalcore disbanded into it. So because metalcore is not as well accepted by the general metal community.
No, it's sort of the dorky younger brother.
I was going to say exactly that. That's completely what it is. But also now it's got enough size to have banded off into its own thing.
Yeah.
I would argue that it's not even the same thing anymore. Like, it's other metal thing and then metalcore doing its own thing.
Its own big thing. People love it. That's great.
Yeah.
So, that brings us to the first song, which we are going to compare on what level? Was this the technical level?
And remember, we swapped them around. We're starting with ironic and unironic enjoyments.
Okay, well that's the toughest one, and
which is why we start with it, though, because we get it out the way and then we end on a high note because we kind of suck at this still.
We do still suck at this,
but we're trying our best.
So, what have you picked?
I have picked My Curse, the biggest one. You will have heard it. That is the one that's featured on Guitar Hero.
Okay, and I have picked Holy Hell.
I think you've also showed me that, haven't you?
I think I probably have. Yeah. It's from their most recent album. We're not all going to do it from the most recent album, don't worry, anyone who's listening. Not one of those fake Architects fans.
Sorry, this one is from the 4th album, so I'm an actual fan.
So, here we go with...
My Curse by Killswitch Engage.
And Holy Hell by Architects.
Baby, we'll never learn. The fire at the gates is our saving grace.
Oh yeah, you can definitely see the connection between those two songs.
You think?
Like, yeah, I like, obviously it's not as, like, it's not exactly, like, one's copy of the other. It's not like that, but, like, I really can see that the roots come from the same place. It is the vocals that are the big difference, though, I think. Like, the guitar, like,
You picked a song with a rock guitar. You picked a Pantera song.
Yeah, I love that song, man.
This is driving music for Killswitch Engage.
Yeah, this is what you say all the time. That's your thing at the moment, and driving music.
Some stuff is driving music. Some stuff is going in my driving playlist.
Yeah.
You know? Well,
like as we mentioned before, it's that I tie songs quite prominently to various sections of my life in a way that, because obviously this is not necessarily true, and this is just speculation on my part, but as we've probably mentioned before, I can't smell anything, which is how you tie emotions to things. So I think that may be why I do it a little bit more than most people do.
Auditorily, yeah, rather. That's pretty cool, though.
It's interesting.
Your brain compensating.
Yeah. That's obviously might not be true, but there we go.
Which song do you think is better?
I don't like the Architects one.
You don't like it at all? Nothing good. Give me one good thing. It's not
okay, right. So, it's not structurally, I think it's interesting. I think it's like, the vocals just, I don't know what it is. I really hate his voice.
Really?
I hate it. Oh, God. I've tried so many times to get into Architects, and I just hate his voice.
I do get what you're talking about. I get where you're coming from. He's a very distinctive Marmite voice.
Yeah.
But I as someone who doesn't love it, but doesn't hate it, so I'm that...
You're that dickhead that doesn't actually pick a team.
But at the same time, all I can think of is how skilled he is. Because,
oh yeah, I will absolutely admit that.
Yeah.
They are clearly all very impressive and talented musicians. I think the other thing I get into is I struggle to get heavily into it just because the structure doesn't always pan out like I think it's going to. Like, it's not as straightforward. I can't quite so clearly pick out the bass, for example, just because there's a lot going on. Not
through one listen, anyway.
No,
not
certainly
on my
not. Yeah, it's
computer speakers.
I think it's just not. I don't know. I struggle to get into it a little bit.
So why should I let you win this one? Why should I let you pick this song? Why is this unironically or ironically? I assume it's unironic. This
is just like. I picked this one purely for my own benefit. I don't really like it's one of those ones where you're not going to convince me that I'm to like yours more in this case, but I will accept that yours is better if you like.
Do you think it's better though?
Genuinely, I could go either way. Like
That's interesting.
I can appreciate that they're very talented musicians.
I could also go either way on this.
Yeah. It's just I just love that song.
Listening to them both, and I don't love your song. I don't love my song.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate both songs. And that is the worst opinion to have on the internet because we're both so lukewarm on this.
Yeah.
But if you can't pick one that you actually think is better, if you can go both ways, I think we've got to be honest about this and we've got to say...
I'll split it down the middle with you if you like. Yeah, I'll split it down the middle with you. It's just one of those ones that, like, because a lot of the time I like to go through and pick these songs based purely on merit. This section, I picked it because I like the song so much.
Okay.
I just tie it to prominent points of my life.
Unironically, I think my songs just... Hold on, what did I actually write in my notes? Did I write anything of note?
I was going to say, did you...
Yeah, I think the layered vocals really show off the skill. I think the melody comes through really nicely with my song, but I think your song, the melody comes through without having to do those layered vocals. So
yeah. Like, there is only one vocalist, and it is, obviously, there are sung and screamed parts, it's just less overlaid, isn't it?
You mentioned the structure didn't go where you wanted. Do you think the rhythms are quite interesting in the Architect song?
It is, yeah, it's interesting, because normally, obviously, I'm very good at that, and even when you get to, like... Because I think what the difference with metalcore is it kind of takes a little bit... from the technical aspects of metal.
Yeah.
Particularly you'll hear it in the drums and things, you really can hear it, and it's just, I'm very good at picking that out, and I just can't quite get where it's gonna, I'm not, unable to predict
let's
it.
be honest with ourselves, let's not be mean about this.
I'll split it down the middle with you, yeah.
Let's draw that one, okay. That one's done. What's the next category, Leia?
Technical skill.
Technical skill's a good one. I actually had a lot of choices for this, you could probably tell already.
Yeah. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
was tough. I actually had to ask other musicians
Did you?
to help me. Yeah, because you know what? I'm a singer. I don't know everything about all instruments.
Absolutely.
I
yeah.
asked a drummer for their opinion
Yeah.
on it. Because I wanted to get a different take from a guitarist and a singer and a bassist. I asked a drummer. So my pick is Naysayer.
Naysayer. I don't think I've
Naysayer.
heard of that one.
I hadn't either.
Okay.
So
right.
it's a bit of a different pick. But what are you going with?
I've gone with In Due Time. This was not a conventional choice for me, because obviously I normally gravitate really heavily to rhythm sections and the drums and things. But when I was listening through, because I listened to quite a lot, just none of them, like, because they're all hard. It's just nothing stuck out to me as like, wow, that's insane. You know, it's one of those ones where it was like, the guitars stuck out as harder to me, and I'm not too familiar with the vocals. Clearly, you've had a lot of time on your hands to go and ask opinions. I did not think to do that this week. So there we go.
We'll
see
this
where we
like
go.
a month ago, though.
Yeah, I also did it a month ago, and I haven't looked at it since.
Yeah, well, and me neither. You know, I had to ask those opinions. I
Yeah.
literally, just before we started, I was like, oh crap, I didn't write it down. I got to go check which one I picked for technical.
Yeah.
So for Killswitch Engage, we have,
In Due Time.
and for Architects, we've got Naysayer. Let's see what we think. Oh my goodness.
Those are pretty similar songs as it pans out.
Oh, that was tough to, like, as soon as we listened to Killswitch first, and then Naysayer came on, and it was like
wow, oh no.
oh no. This is going to be tough again.
You want to pitch to me why you think your song is technically fun?
I don't really know why it's better, because they sound so close. Both of them have like insanely cool guitar riffs.
Yeah.
Great vocals.
That's what stuck out to me, yeah, is this really, really good.
Yours has a better melody. I would argue mine is a good chorus in a different way.
Yeah, because I think that was the big one in the Killswitch one I liked, is the massive, not massive then, but the contrast between the verse and the chorus, where tonally it was very different, whereas yours was a lot more consistent, I think.
But both of them have that kind of drop out of the blast beats to the chorus to be like, here's a big punch done vocally. It was interesting to compare
It was
them.
interesting.
Do you wanna convince me?
To be honest, like, this again, it wasn't a major standout one for me. I would argue that probably the drums are harder in your one than mine.
Okay.
Which is a little bit unusual for how we planned this out, but to be honest, when writing this, I got far more distracted with the background of the song, if that's of any interest to you.
Yeah, go for it.
And that is because this is when, so obviously I mentioned earlier that they've had two singers, and they had singer 1, singer 2 for a while, and they've gone back to singer 1. This is the first one with singer 1, so Jesse Leach. So this is when the first single when he came back is In Due Time. And
It's good.
the reason I read about this, because I had no idea. I didn't even know they'd had a second singer, but they had Howard Jones, who very notably is black. The reason for that is I saw a lot of people talking about it.
The reason for his blackness is...
No, the reason why it's prominent is because you don't see black people in metalcore. In metal, you really don't. And I was just reading through, and all the comments on it were things like, I'm black, I've never seen black people in the spotlight like this before. He's the singer, he's not even like in the background or anything. It was really fun to read through and see people like, I knew that I could do metalcore when I saw this.
There's a rapper in the pop, metal, rock, whatever scene. He's in a scene. Who is super Slipknot inspired, and he said like, Slipknot is his main influence.
That's fun.
But he's like a straight up rapper.
Nice.
An African of descent man.
I think you see that in more rap than you'd think, though.
But what he does is he wears a mask, and yet he's like mainstream successful.
Nice. That's pretty cool, actually.
Exactly. I think we'll probably try and find him at some point.
Yeah.
Not on the street, as in on the internet. We don't know him.
Yeah.
Or her. No, it's a him. Hey, you know who else you don't see in metal as much as you should?
Who?
Women.
Yeah. You know what the reason for that is that virtually every gig you play, someone comes up to you and goes, "Oh, you're pretty good, actually." That's not, if you said "actually" on the end of that, that's no longer a compliment, because you just assumed I was going to be shit because I'm a girl. Stop it.
Okay. Well, we had a soapbox moment. That's good.
Happens every time, though.
We've got to keep to the tradition.
We got to keep to tradition because it's really easy to wind me up about these things.
Also, didn't we... Yeah, never mind. We'll talk about it off mic. So, what do you think? Which one's better?
God. We're going to go through these are so similar.
I've read both of the lyrics as well. We had them on.
Yeah.
There's neither of them jump out. Both of them jump out to me as really good.
Yeah, well, that's something, I suppose.
The word naysayer, I feel, should get extra points because nobody uses it.
That is true. I am actually willing to give you this one.
Are you sure?
The only reason that I'm willing to do that is because I think the rhythm stood out to me as harder in your one.
Okay. And this is technical.
The problem is that these are so close that it's like...
That's why I was going to be a draw, but if you want...
I will give you this one.
1 point to Architects there. Just earned with the rhythm section. Just. And that puts us on third category.
Live performance.
That is a good one.
It is a good one.
I think this is my favourite one we do.
It is. I think the live performance really sets apart bands.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, it's so hard to do. People really underestimate how hard it is to be a good live performer.
Like with Rammstein, I was not into them when you pitched me the songs, but then when you showed me the live performance, that's what sold it.
It made sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that's what nails it. Music is kind of supposed to be live. Sorry, everybody who's on streaming.
Yeah, like, sorry, you gotta go and see your bands, otherwise they're not going to be around anymore.
It's not necessarily better, whatever that means. It's not better quality sound, like, ever.
I was going to say it never is, but yeah, sure.
We're going to download as the time of recording this in 2 days, and
oh my god, are we that close?
Yeah, it's 2 days away, and I do not think the sound will be anywhere close to me just listening to it on my.
I mean, it's pretty good, but it's not amazing, is it? Like, I'm actually really looking forward to a few bands.
It's the experience.
I'm pumped.
What's the band you're looking forward to the most?
Trivium. I'm so excited to see Trivium, especially because I've only got into them fairly recently, and I do think we'll have to do a podcast on them because they're really, really cool. And I think it'd be good.
We could do an old school style podcast on them if you wanted to.
Especially because they're pretty new, but they're like old school classic, but new with like a new spin. It's fun. But let's not go on a tangent about Trivium because I'll talk about them for too long. So
Trivium good. The band I'm looking forward to most are Anti-Shikari.
Yeah, you said.
First time ever seen them. Been listening to them for 10 years. It is about time.
It is about time.
Yeah.
Cute.
Right. Let's do this live pick. What's your live pick?
My pick is Hate by Design, live at Download.
Now, I picked Gone with the Wind, which isn't my favourite Architect song, but I did think, in terms of live performance, it was particularly standout.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. It's been a while since we've done this. But I'm going to hedge my bets and say it's Gone with the Wind instead of their biggest song, which is Doomsday.
Yeah.
Which I might make you listen to off mic.
Yeah.
Just to see what I mean.
I think I'm gonna get a little bit frustrated with this one because there is absolutely a reason that I chose it, but it's so, like, it's not connected to the video that I'm going to show you for reasons that we will explain later, but I'll let you watch it first.
Okay, so first up from Killswitch Engage we have
Hate by Design.
And we've got Gone with the Wind by Architects. Here we go.
We are born free from the restraints. Sickness with no remedy.
Any particular thoughts either way?
I thought my performance was better.
I will concede that, to be honest. They're both working with a lot of space, but I would argue that your singer's better, my everyone else is better. It's just not as visible.
I actually have that written down in my notes.
Do you?
Yes, I have it written down in my notes that I think a criticism that I would personally make of Architects is that the band energy is carried by Sam.
Yeah, totally.
I think he is so good.
Yeah.
And he props everyone else up because he's running back and forth across stage. You know, he's interacting with the audience. He is Architects, I think. I'm not saying anyone else is bad in the band. I think everyone's great.
It's just,
but I think he's that kind of
if
force
you think
that
Architects is him, isn't
Sam
it?
Carter, yeah.
The reason I actually picked this song is because that video is the one we watched, the Killswitch one, is not that impressive, other than you can see them all playing and you can see that they're happy and having fun. The original video is show about this. So that song is about being overwhelmed and left out, and particularly with Keep It Up in the media and things. And the first video I watched for it was they had a sign language interpreter on stage with them to do it, but the whole video was of the sign language interpreter, and she was just wild and having fun. And I thought that was cool as shit, and the band were like getting along with it, but you can't really see the band in it, which is why I couldn't show you that video.
Yeah.
But I got a bit sat on that song then, and I was like, why don't they have a sign language interpreter all the time? She looks like a part of the band now. It's cool.
Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
But that's the only one that stood out to me particularly.
But I'm gonna be rude, and you are nice for the other ones, but I think my band's taking it on live performance. I think their live performance is better. I think
I struggle because only one member of your band is any good.
But no, I don't think that's fair. I think he's the one moving, right? He's the one moving around.
But they're not like none of the rest of them are anything to look at.
That's true. But I now see, this is a personal thing, and this podcast is personal, and we gotta say that to you guys whenever we do this, so you don't get annoyed. There's not getting annoyed with me.
Oh no, yeah, like Jesus Christ. Sometimes we sound pissed off at each other, and we just completely.
Sometimes we get heated. That's okay.
We get heated, and it's just complete. As soon as we stop recording, we're just like, well, what do you want to do now?
Yeah, exactly. You know, but that's just because we both have opinions. And, and that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about fact. We're talking about opinion of who enjoyed the performance more, and I enjoyed Architects more because I'm a vocalist who focuses on the vocalist more. Yeah. Player's not. And she brings a lot of other opinions to it that help me see a band in different ways.
Honestly, we've grown so much in musical opinion since doing this, just because we have like an organised way to talk about bands on abroad.
You got to force each other to do it. And that's okay. And Leia's about to explain to me why she thinks her band should take this particular point.
I will agree that your band looks very metalcore. So if we were ranking it on
the most metalcore,
they are metalcore as fuck, and I will completely concede that. Okay. And the reason that stuck out to me, as I mentioned to you while we were watching it, is the singer is very like, the energy that you have is a little bit different. He's very sort of bouncy, you know, popping about.
Yeah, a bit more theatrical.
Yeah. Whereas, like, in Killswitch, as we saw, they look much more like a traditional metal band, and they've all got that sort of stance, and they're heavy, and they look double hard. That's the thing, basically, isn't it?
You know?
Which is, obviously, I prefer that, because I much prefer that performance.
Yep.
Like,
and I get that. As we've seen a number of times on this podcast, it's not usually what I'm drawn to. Sometimes it is. Five Finger Death Punch I find so ridiculously masculine. It's
at the point that it's dumb with Five Finger Death Punch.
And therefore it comes back around to me enjoying it. Yeah. Because it's so absurd how masculine they are.
Yeah, this is when you see the whole, like, oh yeah, everyone that gets into Five Finger Death Punch is wife beater, and it's that sort of, like, weird, overly masculine energy, but it's a fucking joke. Mm-hmm. Like, fucking hell.
I think your two guitarists were great.
They were really good in that.
The guy with sunglasses on
he's loving it, isn't he? He's full on fucking tongue and shit. And also it was such, like, at that point in the day, because as I mentioned, like, I was there for that performance, and it was right in the middle of the day. It had just pissed it down, and everyone was pissed off, and the whole crowd didn't really want to be there. We were all waiting for the band that was on next, and they had no chance. And there's just a few people in the crowd that are fucking loving it, and they keep going, and it's really fun.
Okay, you pushing hard for this then?
I'll call it half with you again. I will agree to half.
No, you know what? I'm not gonna take that from you. I'm gonna let you have it. I think if you think more members of your band were better, then I think that's fair. So we'll call that a win for Killswitch Engage on that category.
Okay.
Which puts us at a draw, and let's see if one of us can take it. Convince the other one either way with Legacy.
Yeah. So, to be honest with you. I didn't make much of a comment on Legacy because I don't think Killswitch stand out as a band that are going to be remembered as anything incredible. Like, they didn't... As much as they are the grassroots, then, of, like, metalcore, they're not going to be remembered as metalcore. No. I think they'll be sort of remembered as the overlap band. And will always be that band that were, like... They were sort of, like, you know, they were sort of metal, and they were sort of metalcore as well, and they sort of inspired it. But it's not, like... I don't think they've had the same cultural impact then as Architects have had in people, particularly people like my age. You see lots of people into Architects nowadays. It just doesn't appeal to older people, which is the only reason I think they aren't a lot bigger than they are.
Here's my counter point. Architects are too young for us to really know. Yeah. They are having their moment right now.
Yeah.
And I think it is after this moment
Yeah.
that we will really be able to tell if they made an impact. Now, I've heard a lot of local bands who definitely want to be the Architects.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And some of them do a really good job of it. Some of them don't. I'm not going to mention who on either side. But it is interesting to me that we don't really know at this point. Are Architects going to be huge forever? Are they going to fade away? Are they going to change genre completely? Are they going to pull a Bring Me the Horizon and go pop? Who knows?
I would still argue, though, that even if they detour for where they've come now, they still will have inspired most of the genre in a different way, which is why I'm willing to give you this one. I do think they've made more of an impact.
Okay, I was going to be nice, but yeah, I'll take it. Finally. Did I finally win a week
of
this?
I know.
I think this is the first time I've won this one.
Since, obviously, not before since the rebrand, maybe. Definitely before the rebrand, you've won loads.
We weren't comparing before the rebrand, though. Not really.
Yeah, but we still got into arguments sometimes, and you normally won.
But okay. Well, cool. Okay, I don't know how to. I was going to make this last another 10 minutes, but that's fine.
Were you willing to be like, oh no, this is why I got to win, and then you were like, oh wait, she's actually down.
I was going to just make a reasoned approach for why both of them are equally good, and then just sit it in the middle. But nope. I don't like
to leave it on we decided they're both equally as good, particularly if because as much as I do prefer Killswitch as a band, I do genuinely think that Architects are big. I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Yeah. I do think they've had more of an impact. You just don't see people as passionate about Killswitch Engage as you see. Granted, they might be 16, 17-year-olds, and people's opinions change, but passionate about Architects.
16, 17-year-olds are the future, man.
They are the fucking future.
Everyone younger than me is the future.
That's the rule, is it? Yeah. You're the cut-off.
Well, I'm the present for
no,
me.
You personally will always be the cut-off.
Yeah, yeah. That's whatever my taste is.
The Ute is anyone younger than Matt at any point, which means I'll always be the Ute now. So,
are there any? You listen to Killswitch Engage, right?
Not heavily, but yeah.
And I listen to the odd Architect song. Are there any? Would you ever listen to an Architect song, or is the vocalist too?
I'm not going to listen to them again after this podcast.
Well, comparatively, I am going to listen to some Killswitch Engage.
So
to be honest.
I'll work that as a personal win.
Yeah, definitely. You should definitely take that. Maybe we should include that as an extra award
God,
each week.
We get so tired. It's going to just be more and more every time.
Well, not a category for rating, but just like a special tag.
Yeah, it is a special tag. Yeah,
you converted Matt to another band.
Yay!
But that brings us to the end of this week. A very calm, nice week where we were really
nice.
Genuine to each other.
Yeah, it's been a chill one actually. I thought this was going to be weird because we were both more passive about this week than we have been about previous ones.
Yeah.
But no, this has been quite nice for a change actually.
Mm-hmm. I got to listen to some cool music, so I'm happy.
It was a good one.
Next week, what are we even doing? What are we even doing next week?
I actually don't know. Hang on. I think this might have been as far as we've got scheduled.
No, I think there's one more scheduled.
Oh, you wanna give a preview? Because normally we hide it until it happens.
No, I do a preview. We gotta fill out some time in this, otherwise the episode.
I was gonna say you're gonna need to keep talking while I find it.
I'll find it while you look up there. What I love most about a calm summer day is that's me filling for time. No, I liked Killswitch.
We actually have quite a few plans. Sorry.
Oh, okay, read out the next one.
The next one that we've got ordered is Linkin Park versus Papa Roach.
Oh, that is going to be a tough fucking week.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you even remember who's who?
I'm Linkin Park.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Yeah.
I fully expected you to be like,
No, I know I'd pick Linkin Park because I barely know Papa Roach.
Yeah.
Cut my life into pieces, and that's it.
This is my plastic fork.
Don't use a plastic fork to cut your life up, guys. Get a plastic knife. Right, well, we'll see you in a couple weeks' time. I don't know when this episode's going to come out.
I have no idea
I think
anymore.
a month after we've recorded it now.
Yeah, because someone's really rudely going away over the summer.
Yeah, just for 3 weeks. Right. We'll see you guys in the next episode. Like us on Facebook. Please tell a friend if you like this podcast. Don't be ashamed. It is the only way we're going to build up more of an audience.
Yeah, I mean, we're cool as fuck. Why would you not want to tell people?
I don't think I'm cool, but I definitely think that I have an annoying voice. So
I think everyone thinks they have an annoying voice.
But I listen to myself and I listen to you.
Yeah, I'm really pleased that I don't have to listen to it after.
Yeah, you don't have an annoying voice. You've got a very nice voice. It might be the mics we use, but I've got such a nasally, horrible voice.
See, you think that, but I think the other way around. So we're just gonna get into a debate about voices if this fucking carries on. Although I did think originally that you'd be over it by now, but no.
I have to listen to it so much. Right, we will see you in the next episode, guys.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.